Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is February 21st, 2022, and today is Monday morning. So welcome back, everybody. Looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets bounced while gold tanking. Now looking at the major economic events of the day, 10:30 this morning out of the European Union, we have a German flash manufacturing and services PMI numbers coming out. Now, as we're taking a look at the markets, a big rotation happening, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs rally versus the US dollar. While we're looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both bouncing, and gold takes the inverse relationship and tanking. Looking at oil, steady for now. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. And looking at the stocks, they're good position to bounce right now. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, break support at that 40,000, but it could still bounce. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're looking at the first set of Forex symbols, Euro USD 4-hour chart. You can see we're back at that 113.70-ish level. If we do push this higher, okay, we do need to clear 1388 and possibly get back to that 14 level. However, remember, this is a third meet. This is a third candle up, and usually when we do get this, we get after the third day or the third candle, you do get a sell-off. So possibly we could see a sell-off later today. GBP USD also at resistance, and if we look at the Aussie USD also at resistance. So it's systemic. This is what I like to see. It's across the board. They're all lined up. Okay, so if we do break above it, you should expect all of them to break above it on the upside. Now looking at the commodities, first looking at oil, trading at $90.82, did retrace from our higher 95. Still strong, okay, but we could possibly see it just trade sideways for now. Somewhere around the 89 to 90 level is probably your bottom range, and 95 being your upper range there. Now looking at gold, looking at a daily chart, big sell-off on gold from 1903. This was decent resistance-ish level, okay? Very decent resistance level. So to anticipate this was completely normal. Now, it hasn't deviated so far away from it, right? We're not back at the 1828-ish level, which we had a very hard time for a long time breaking above, okay? That would be my inclination of where we could retrace back to, but probably around the 1860-ish level is more realistic in the short term. If we look at a daily chart, that's really where I think we would first retrace to 1870-ish level before we break further. Okay, so keep that in mind as this still unfolds later today. Now looking at the US markets, the Dow Jones here bouncing nice and hard this morning from 34,000 up to 34,346, almost 400 points, a nice bounce. Let's see if it could sustain its momentum. Now, I'm still very bearish on the market, okay, which means that I believe the markets are going to go lower, but you have to first rally them before you break them further down. Okay, so that's, I think, what's happening here, you know, between the the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ also getting a little bit of a pump here, 14,153 here on a 1-hour chart. Possibly the top of the move is maybe 15,000, possibly, okay? Let's see if it does follow through as this unloads later today. Now, looking at Apple, we got at that bottom range, and so I do expect these to bounce here. Facebook, not an end in sight, okay? But this is a second level of a potential support level. 1213 was your first one. Now, if I would say this, somewhere around this range would, 200-ish area would be my next normal support area. Now, if it breaks 200, then we're not in a good shape at all. Now, looking at Microsoft, we're at that bottom of the range as well. And looking at Cisco, we were up last week, which is a real big move, okay? Up and go. So I'd like to see this continuation. Now, it does have a bit of a resistance at $57. So keep that in mind as this further unloads. Amazon, retaining some of its strength here at $3,000 a share. Now, lastly, looking at Tesla, also at that bottom of the range and looking like it wants to bounce off of this lower level as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin. Okay, this is where it's at. We broke big from 45,000 down to 38,000, $7,000 move. Now we're at 39,000 right here, okay? But we would want to have stayed at this 41,000-ish level and sustain this support level right there. But we did breach it. Not a big deal, okay? We are selling We are trading, excuse me, below the 30-day moving average. So that's something to inquire as this actually capitulates. And let's see if they do catch up. And if there's a breakout, then possibly we could go higher. All right. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily going to go lower, in the next very short time frame. But, it did sell off, not big volume, but it did sell off. Okay. So that's something to keep an eye on as this continues to trade later this week. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.